All right, we are live. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and it has been a long time since I've come to you in this capacity. I saw this news story, and I'm hearing a lot of takes on the situation. And as usual, when unresolved issues come in and we have unspoken or spoken situations such as race, anything and everything is going to look like that, right? And so, as I'm hearing this story, if you didn't see this story, it's about the quote City Park Karen or the City Bike Karen, right? And the situation is these young boys are on a bike, and this woman, she's pregnant and she works at the hospital, and she wants to get on one of the bikes, and they get into a back and forth, and it got viral and it's all over the news, and people are picking out little bits and pieces so that they can continue to polarize the country, right? But the reality is, on the basis of the country's foundation, we cannot pretend that this is not the perpetual sin. The story has you confused. What's going on, India? Long time no see. It had to bring me out of commentary, a sabbatical, okay? Because I'm looking at the story. I first saw it and I was like, all right. But a lot of people, because they are content mongers, they want to jump out and then start saying this and start saying that, and you don't have all the facts. And that's what the situation is with this. So as I saw the story being updated, right, I'm like, you know what? Why are we not hearing from the young men? Right? Because there is a time before it starts. There's a time before the video starts that we don't have that information. So as I'm looking over this and I'm saying to myself, some is not adding up. And I made a few comments on another lawyer's page. I think his name is Nate, the lawyer. I like the way he broke it down, but I did not like the conclusion. There was a lot of assumptions made, and I see that he had to make subsequent videos because more information is coming out. So far, they've had to go get a GoFundMe for her because her hospital put her on timeout. She had to get a lawyer. Now the young boy wants to get lawyered up. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let's see what India is saying, and then we're gonna go into it. First, it was her bike. Then it was his bike. Then the lawyer said it was her bike. Then the sister said the woman jumped and scanned. Yo, the sister said that she impaled. The sister was doing most right. It sounds crazy, right? I'm going to say my take before we get some more information, because I found an article that I don't hear many people talking about. We're going to read the article real quick because you know how we do. We have to dig in, right? So based on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, the information that's out there, right? As you said, India, rightfully so, it's playing, ring around the rosy with the bike. Is my bike, is your bike. And I think a lot of it has to be centered around the uh, policies of this city bike, the policies of the bike in the city, because without the context of the policies, we won't understand. So today when I saw it, I'm like, something is missing, because why is he docking and then getting on, docking and getting on? And come to find out, thus the policy based on the agreement that they take for rental, that they don't have more than 45 minutes to dock the bike, or they will be charged whatever the surcharge is. So now you create a culture based on law. That's how oftentimes culture is created. It's based on either law and what's going on in and around the people. So based on the laws of the city bike rental, there has developed this culture inside of New York City that, hey, you're going to ride the bike. If you know you're taking it for a long time, you're going to ride and dock, ride and dock. According to what I'm seeing, during that time of that wait period that they have to wait, he is kind of babysitting the bike in the sense. Him and his friends are waiting for the time that they now can legally rent the bike. Okay. And so I wanted to know what the woman was saying, what happened before this point. And, luckily we know we're about to find out. So basically, that's what the contention was, where he keeps saying is his bike. Although he did not have it on record at the time she approached, the woman did not want to concede. She wanted that bike in particular. That's why everybody keeps saying they had other bikes at the bike rack. However, all bikes are not created equal, right? So this, I think, more than racism, this is a class system, okay? Because City Bike has created a class system where one bike is more coveted than the other, and they also created laws supposedly to keep things fair so that people won't take bikes out all day and not bring them back, right? That also causes people who may not have the resources and finances like that to try to find ways and means to work around it. That's what I came up with. I was going back and forth, not even back and forth. Someone said something on another post, and I'm like, we're in the weeds right now. We over at the person works at the hospital, and we are over at the 12-hour shift, and we over here. We're in the weeds as it relates to the facts of the situation, and we're appealing to emotion, which can become a logical fallacy if we go down that road, right? So, with all that said, let's jump into this article that I literally just found before I was going to come on air. India said that's why she have her own bike. I think it's to be applauded for them to have a way in which people can in New York it's kind of wild. And it's funny because I was there the other day and I did see these bikes. I saw them all over. A, for people to move throughout the city. B, not to be dependent on Uber or the train or the bus, right? And C, to get exercise. So I think it's a good idea how it's working out. And if I'm not mistaken, Lyft, when I looked it up, partnered with City Bike to bring these bikes. So it's a way in which that in such a tight space such as New York City, people can get around, and they don't have to worry about where they're going to park the bike, where they're going to put the bike, and all that other stuff. But let's go to News One, because outside of his sister, News One is the only people who is said to have interviewed the young man about what really happened. So let's go to News One and read about what really happened. Mother of teen in City Bike video speaks out. No one bothered to ask him what happened. I was over here like, what happened? Right now, all we're going off of is the video. We don't know what came before, and his sister's testimony. So I'm so glad to have found this. Hopefully this will clear up this, and we can like tease the situation out a little bit and everything. Don't immediately jump to race. Although I think race does play a part in the beginning, but uh I mean afterwards, but in the beginning, I think it's more a class system. I think it's more having to do with monetary constraints, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and jump down. This is News One. This was back on the 25th. So 4 days ago. This is not, why did they blow this picture up? I can't. This picture's anywho. Um, you can read the whole entire article. Essentially, he's a high school senior. He's about to attend prom. He's about to graduate and go off to college, right? And all of this is happening. So they have to change the names. The mother requested that they change the names so that they can remain safe. So they're giving the teen the name Michael right now. Okay. So the mother says she's upset because they're calling her son a thug, a thief, a man. She's like, he's just a boy. He's 17 years old, right? He's not all of these things that you're saying. And just like the internet, quick to run, to jump, to make things something that is not. And go ahead and leave your comments in the section below. We're gonna have this discussion because it's been a while, right? So essentially the mother's in her feelings. She was like, yo, I'm glad y'all guys are here. We're gonna have this conversation. So the narrative is one-sided. As well, we're watching a video, but the video still needs to be interpreted, right? So here we are. I'm going to jump down. They had a 50-minute interview, and this is what they got from the interview, right? I'll leave the link for the interview for the whole article. Essentially, Mary and Michael, which are the sister and brother, live with their parents and another brother in an apartment in the Bronx. So remember, the scene of what's going on is in Manhattan, but this young man and his friends that we're going to learn are from the Bronx. Mary and Michael were born in the U.S., but their parents are immigrants from West Africa. So they're not even from here, right? They're from the continent, okay? Mary and her brother and both parents work to help contribute to family income. It says, we live in the Bronx, but my brother spends a lot of time in Harlem. Mary said he has friends there. Okay, so this is giving us context about what's going on and why people like, oh, the terrible person who didn't want to give up the bike and what's going on. You have to really dig to get an understanding about what's going on. It says here, on May the 12th, the date of the incident, Michael and 4 other teenagers rode bikes from Bronx to Harlem. So there's 5 in totality, 5 melanated men, not men, young men, okay, because they're not little boys, but they're young men, rode their bikes from the Bronx to Harlem. Okay. And that's a good little trek. And this is probably why we're seeing that it took them 45 minutes to see their way from, and then we're seeing the map here, over the bridge from Bronx to Harlem. A good little trek. Okay. All right. So we see they went from Grand Concourse to Amsterdam and 136. It shows here that what his fare was and all the stuff. They uploaded the receipt. It says, my brother is an extreme city bike rider, Mary said proudly. He's in a group called City Bike Angels that sends out free stuff to people who have accumulated a certain amount of points. And my brother has been a frequent city bike rider since 2020, 2021. That means the person is not new to the situation. The person would know what the culture of city bike riders are. Some of us are not city bike riders. So therefore, we don't know that there's a whole culture now that has been built around city bike riders. It may be fair to say that what's her name? The woman and Michael are both familiar with city bike culture, right? It would be fair to say because she knew what to do, she knew how to scan it. So I mean, is it her first time riding? It probably isn't, okay? Michael said it's a regular routine with him and his friends. They meet up in the Bronx, find new city e-bikes find the new e-bikes City Bike has out and ride them all over the city. These are young people who have nothing but time on their hands, okay? And so they have a thing amongst them that they find these modes of transportation and they ride them all over the city. Okay. So this is what, according to the article, he was doing that day. I use City Bike every day, Michael says. I use the bikes to get to and from school if I'm traveling anywhere in the city, even if it's from here to Brooklyn, which, my goodness, bro, that is a far trek. My first option is City Bike. That's a long trek. Okay. Let's talk. So the people in the community want to get some exercise because that is a long trek. Michael said he and his friends, who are all from immigrant West African families, understand City Bike and all its programs. Okay. So some of the people who are commenting, all of us out here, there's stuff that we need to research so that we can be informed, right? It says they use them because for teenagers like themselves, it's a cheaper option than taking the subway from borough to borough. By the way, the prices in the city have gone up. I'm like, what? The prices don't look like they was doing what they were doing. Okay. Anywho, Michael said that day they walked around the Bronx for 20 minutes before they found the highly coveted but hard to find new e-bikes. I came to this conclusion earlier, like, wait a minute, everybody's like there are other bikes. And then I looked it up on City Bike's website, and they have 3 different tiers of bikes. Okay. Again, I said the beginning of this is more classist than it is racist. Well, they may be one and the same, but in this situation, this was a money constraint situation. You walk in 20 and you wanted esteem. You walk 20 minutes around the Bronx so that you can find this new bike that you want to ride. Okay. They took the bike to Harlem first, where they stopped riding after 45 minutes because, again, that is the stipulation, the laws set by Citibank. These are the constraints by which they are operating within. It's not to say who, at this point, we're not who's right or wrong. At this point, we're just trying to figure out what's going on because a lot of people are jumping out the window with their own assumptions. It's already colored with whatever biases, either which way that people may have, right? Michael explained that because his family receives some public assistance, he gets a discount on city bike rides. But after 45 minutes, the rate on the bike increases. So if you go onto the City Bike website, you will see that for someone who gets public assistance, they get a discount on the bike. So we can see that the father, the mother, the brother, the sister, everybody has to work. This family is struggling to keep their head above water, right? And New York is wild right now with rent prices and everything. He's using this as a mode of transportation. And him and his friends are making this a thing where they travel collectively throughout the city. So when somebody was like, why didn't he just give up the bike? A, he was far from home. B, in his mind, it took him the forever to find this particular bike. So that may answer some questions that people may have as to, does it make it right or wrong? No, but this is just giving some insight into why the boy didn't want to get off the bike. Michael said he pays for his own Citi bike account, and in order to avoid the higher charges, he frequently stops his rides before they go over 45 minutes to rest and redock the bike. Okay. So in this particular situation, I think it was 37 cents. That means he went a minute over and he stopped where they were, where the situation is going to start to take place. He stops there so that they can reset the thing. Redocking the bike resets the timer, allowing him to ride for another 45 minutes before stopping again. Let's just say, let's give it to them for exercise, bro. Y'all running for 45 minutes? That's a good little ride. I'm just saying. I mean, New York getting the people moving, I see. Even regular Citi bike riders do this, Mary explained. So not just people who have the discount because of wage situations or income restrictions, regular Citi bike riders, people who are paying out of their regular money. The price goes up after 45 minutes for everyone. So people routinely, again, culture that's built around laws that Citibank put in place. So people routinely ride their bikes, dock their bikes, ride their bikes, and dock their bikes again. If we're outside of the city, how would we know this? If you inside of the city and you don't ride Citi bike, how would you know this, right? This is why you need to hear the Torah often talks about you have to do diligent inquiry. You have to listen to all sides. You have to give people an opportunity to say what's happening. But what's happening right now in America, I saw this news report all the way in Australia, is that people are weaponizing situations, and the people in the situations now are become tools, she and him, to fight bigger agendas. And it's not right. It's not right. But let's continue. So we see him here, and we see him with the infamous bike, and we see him docking the bike, right? So we saw that he came across 45 minutes from the Bronx to Manhattan, and now he's on his way to Lower Manhattan, and he stops again. Okay? We see him stopping again. Okay? Because whatever he pays is a discount. So the encounter with Sarah Jane, my apologies, that's her name. Sarah Jane is her name. Okay? So Michael said after resting in Harlem for a bit, the boys continued riding, because at this point, how long are they riding? 45 minutes out, another 30 minutes we just saw. They're an hour plus in. Okay? So they're resting. This may be why all of them are like in this huddle, some on their bikes, and apparently he's next to the bike. So they continue riding into Lower East Side of Manhattan. They grabbed frozen yogurt and then headed to the Citi Bike docking station at First Avenue and East 30th Street near Bellevue Hospital in Kip Bay neighborhood. They docked their bikes at 719 and sat there to rest. So according to the situation, not only do they need to rest, but they also need to reset their bikes. And herein lies the problem. Herein lies everybody. It was her bike. It was his bike. Once you dock the bike, it's open and shows that it is available. Okay. And so that being said, enter Sarah Jane into the conversation. Michael insists he and his friends never left the bikes unattended. They don't leave the bikes. Michael said all four of his friends also have the same Citi bike reduced fare membership. So they docked the bikes to stop the time from going over 45 minutes. Four of the boys were sitting on their bikes as they rested, but Michael was standing next to his with his hands on the handlebars. And you could kind of see that in the video that the dude in the purple shirt, he was kind of sitting on the back of he was sitting on his bike. So apparently Michael, or his name right now, he's standing beside the bike and enters Sarah Jane. They were there for a few minutes. We see that because if they arrived at 7:19, by 7:24, up walked Sarah Jane, which is 5 minutes later, right? They were there for a few minutes when he said Sarah Jane Cumry approached their group. So pause. If you're at a bike rack and you see all these other bikes and you choose not to go there, there's some people's like, there were large, somebody wrote me, there were large black men, broski. She chose to walk up to these quote unquote large black men, young men, right? So she initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike he was rested on. It's clear that she knows the value of the bike that he's resting on, because they walked around the Bronx an hour plus earlier looking for this bike for 20 minutes. So Sarah Jane It is my thought that she would have been aware that the bike that they're resting on is the one that she wants, because that would be everybody's like, well, why didn't she get the other bikes? It's like the child has the toy and there's all these other toys, but they want your toy, and you're like, yo, why you want my toy? And we're going to find out why. This bike helps to propel you while it has an engine in it, I've heard, which helps for you not to exert as much energy when you're riding. She initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike he was resting on. He politely declined, informing her that they were going to be leaving shortly using the bikes again. So they were basically bike sitting. And a lot of people would be like, yo, that's illegal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like people, babysitting the parking space at an event. Okay, to me, this is equivalent to the same thing. The parking space is valuable. Let's say you at the stadium and you get out the car to hold down the parking space till your person spins the block, right? And then somebody comes along and like, yo, get out the parking space. And it's like, no, we were here and we're just waiting for the car to come. And then the person just decides like, I'm going to run you over. Like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? You can't do that, right? To me, that's the equivalent. Let me know if I'm tripping. Anywho, she initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike he was resting on. He politely declined. So apparently all the friends have these coveted bikes. He politely declined, informing her that they were going to be leaving shortly and using the bikes again. But she wasn't done there. She was like a Jehovah's Witness. She was knocking on everybody's door. So she next approached a different boy in the group and asked him the same thing. That boy also politely declined, because in their minds, who wants to ride all the way back to the Bronx on a bike that they are pedaling all by their onesie? There's a possibility that they wouldn't have came so far. They wouldn't have came so far on a bike that they had to pedal themselves. I'm just saying, because that's far. Right now, they are far away from home. Okay, let's continue. So it says here that everybody was like, nah, ma, we're not going to be able to do it. Not going to be able to do it. So Michael was standing near his bike with his hands on the handlebar. So we do see when they at 7:24, when the camera goes on, his hands are on the handlebar. So, but they want us to believe that Sarah Jane, this is what to me, this is what the reports want us to believe, that Sarah Jane was on the bike and then the old boy ran up and like started tussling with her. That's wild. That looks crazy. I don't know. Right. I wasn't there. But that's a far stretch. Anyway, it says, according to Michael, Sarah Jane Cumry asked him, can I please have this bike? So this is the third person. This is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears fight. She's at the third person asking. So she really wants this bike. Why does she really want this particular bike? It leads me to believe she would have been familiar with bike culture. Okay. Michael said he declined. Now I'm about to take it back, he told her. Wait. According to Michael, can I have the bike? Michael said he declined. Now I'm about to take it back, he told her. That sounds weird. Where did that come from? I don't know. Writer, I need the writer to tell me where this came from. Because he declined and then he says, now I'm about to take it back. That don't make no sense. What happened? Something happened. Anyway, Michael says Sarah Jane Cumry then said to him, I'm pregnant. Can you help a pregnant woman out? So she's bargaining. That's what I was like. What is happening before these people get on the bike? Before this tussle? What's happening? So she's trying to bargain. I've been pregnant in New York City. Okay, not riding no bikes, but getting on the bus, getting on the subway, walking up the stairs. People, I mean, back then, I don't know about now, they would usually look out for a pregnant woman, right? So she's throwing out the I'm pregnant card now because all of them are declining her access to this bike. That led me to believe that when she walked up, she saw them there. She didn't feel threatened when she walked up to them. It's only after they continue to deny her that the tide changes. It says, Michael said he then told her, I'm sorry, ma'am. I've ridden this bike all the way from the Bronx and I need this bike to go back home. Well, whether Michael said it that nicely or not, I don't know, because Michael starts to curse later on in the clip. So I don't know how nicely Michael said it, but according to the narrative, Michael is over here like, nah, you know what I mean? I need the bike. You know what I mean? I wish I could, but I can't. Anyway, Michael says that is when Sarah Jane Cumry moved closer to him. So wherever she's having the conversation with him, she could Can I be heard? Let me know if I could be heard. Wherever she's having a conversation with him, she's not possibly up on him, because it said that at this point she moves closer to him. This probably why the sister was like, she jumped on him and leaned over him and scanned the QR code. And with her phone, even as his hands on the handlebar. So for those who are like, she legally had rights to the bike, the question becomes now, if she felt that, she wouldn't have to ask three different people, can I get that bike? She clearly saw that even though these bikes were docked, that these people looked like they had intentions to use it. When you're driving in the parking lot and you see somebody brake lights on, and you ask, hey, you about to back out, you going or you coming? Right? It's courtesy. So some people will be like, well, the bike was docked, so they had legal right to it, or he shouldn't have been babysitting the thing. But they're having a discourse, they're having a conversation, and they're, according to his narrative, he's telling her, look, lady, I need this bike to get back to where I came from. Right? Let's continue. It says here, she then pushed her way onto the bike and attempted to remove it from the docking station and take it. She said, yo, I might bike this. I take this. She got Jamaican on him. She got Jamaican on him. She declared that she was about to take this. She's not asking no questions. So herein lies the problem. Because when the camera comes on, it looks like, oh, they're bullying this pregnant lady off of a bike. But what happened? All of this is what happened before we get to 724. So it says, shout out to the person who did this interview. So anyway, she pushes him. It says it was 724, and that is when the boys began recording. That's what the world saw. The world saw. We don't know what the precursor was. We don't know what preceded the conversation. All we saw is the behavior. It says you can hear them in the video calling for someone to record Sarah Jane Comrie at the beginning of the footage. You know if someone is using something. Oh, that's the sister. There are obvious physical clues to let you know when someone is in use or someone is planning to use something. And that is why she asked, according to their testimony, 3 different people, can I get that bike? You knew that they were about to use it. Michael insisted Sarah Jane Comrie knew he was planning to use the bike. He said she asked him and his friends to use theirs, and they all informed her they were using the bikes and would be leaving shortly. But she didn't care. She didn't care. What's going on, LF? She didn't care. He said she seemed annoyed that they wouldn't willingly give up their bikes to her. I see some people talking about what do they call it now? Because I'm like, what's going on with the internet? I see some people talking about black privilege. I'm like, huh? Her annoyance at them not conceding to her, okay, and their unwillingness to give them her bike, the bike, right? In general, not anybody's bike at this point because it was docked, right? That is entitlement in the sense of that's the one I want. Now, some people may say, yo, who cares about the culture? The law says if the bike is docked, then she has the right to it. But she understood that if she was that gangster and gully, she wouldn't have asked nobody. She just went up to the bike, scanned it, and then jumped on it. So she understood that there were some other things that needed to be, the color of the law, there were some other things that needed to be done in order for her to feel good about getting on this bike. Anyway, he also said he believed she wanted that bike as opposed to others that remained docked in the rack because he had one of the newer e-bikes. At first, this has nothing to do, I don't think, with race. I think in the beginning, this had to do with class. They have constraints. You know, they don't want to be charged extra monies. There's this whole culture that's created around saving $1 because everything is sky high. Let's talk about that. Right? Everything is sky high. These dudes is riding bikes from Manhattan to Bronx to Brooklyn. It's crazy. Okay. And they're trying to save a penny everywhere they can. Now, Sarah J, she is a physician's assistant. She's not broke. She's a physician assistant. These people are coming from 2 different sides of the world, you know, might as well be, right? And she feels entitled to, she also rides bikes, but maybe for very different reasons. And she feels entitled to, if she acts nicely, that they should get off and give it to her. And they're thinking about where they have to go and the fact that they don't want to do what she's asking. So she decides, I'm going to take it. No means no, lady. No means no. Oh boy. Anywho, the rest of the interaction plays out in the video. Sarah Jane Comrie, dressed in scrubs, bearing the NYC Health Hospital logo, removed her work badge from her neck, placed it in her bag along with the brown paper bag she was holding, and began screaming for help. That part, I'm gonna have to play that part. That part had me laughing. I'm like, yo, why was homie like help? This is the part now that it becomes racial. I think before this point, it had to do with money. After this point, for me, I think this is when it becomes she's weaponizing, her woman, female European womanness. This is where I think many people saw, and it triggered them because historically, when this happens, you know what happens next. So the boys can be heard repeatedly telling her it's not her bike. During the film part of the interaction, Michael was able to successfully push the bike back into the dock. Now you have people saying that he was trying to steal the bike. If he was trying to steal the bike, wouldn't he just hop on the bike and ride away? Why would he be trying to redock the bike? I thought stealing was taking something from the person. But anyway, they're like, he was trying to steal the bike to where? The dock? So clearly, in his mind, the way she ascertained the bike, the way she was able to get the bike was illegal because of how she violated his space. And so he pushes it back. He said he then entered the bike's number into his phone to put the reservation back on his account. And that's what we see. Somebody brought up that the light was on the front of the bike. That means somebody has it checked out. Then when he pushed it back into the docking station, which this is just petty, by the way. This whole situation is petty. But since we're here, he pushes it back. And then she tries to, when he gets it, she's trying to push it back. And I'm like, lady, if you're pregnant, why are you here fighting over a bike? That's a better question. Did you have a long shift? Anyway, he said he then entered the bike number. Okay, we read that. Michael said when Sarah Jane Comrie noticed him doing this, she snatched his phone out of his hand, which is shown in video, where he's like, yo, give me back the phone. Right? She snatches the phone. Okay. This is the 719. This is us seeing how far the dude came from, very far. And this is us, let's see here. It says here, Michael's story directly contradicts the narrative that Justin Marino, the employment attorney representing Sarah Jane Comrie, gave in a statement he wrote to the New York Post. I wonder why. Sorry. In the statement, Marina wrote that Sarah Jane Comrie approached a rack of Citi bikes and got on an available bike, which no individuals were on or touching. Judgment. Now, this story is night and day. I don't know if you guys have ever called your children and be like, come and tell me what happened. And you get night and day, somebody lying. Because in the video, the guys are sitting on the other bike, which lends credibility to what the young man said. Because in the video, the bikes are docked. The other friend's bike is docked, but he's sitting on it too, right? So that doesn't. How would nobody be there? And then everybody just ran out the bushes and then just decided to sit on bikes? That don't make no sense. Anywho, it says Marino also wrote that as Comrie was alleged backing the bike out of the dock, a group of about 5 individuals approached her saying that the bike was theirs. So the question is, where were they resting? Now, somebody's lying. One person is saying they were there, and she was doing the 3 little bears, asking everybody, can she have their bike? Another person is saying that nobody was there, and that as soon as she got on the bike, they all ran. So then that would have meant that somebody made up an entire story of, can I use the bike? Because there would be no need for can I use the bike if you weren't there, right? One or more individuals in that group physically pushed her bike with her on it back into the docking station, causing it to relock, the statement also claims. Did you hear that statement? It says here, Marino originally made public redacted alleged receipts, but as of Wednesday, his apparent Twitter account posted the unredacted receipts showing Sarah Jane Comrie had rented the bike for 1 minute at 7:24. And that lends to the fact that there was a scuffle. because the bike is rented at 724 and pushed back before 725. So that means that there had to be somebody there, because why did your bike redock that quickly in less than a minute? Okay, now here he go. See? He over here playing I Spy over here. See? It checks out at 724 and it pushes back. That means something happened. And for him to say what he's saying, I don't know. So it says that timestamp matches both the video and Michael's version of the events. Michael provided Newsone with copies of all his receipts for the bike from that day. They show he originally rented the bike at 5:53. He returned it after his final ride at 10:12. Each of the receipts he sent for review shows him riding the bike in intervals of 45 minutes or less, redocking the bike and then taking it out again a shorter time later. Uh-oh. Dum, dum, dum. And for the guy who was like, he didn't even go anywhere, 725 to 731, sir, weren't they fighting? Weren't they fighting? Where did he go? They were fighting, sir. Oops, they were going back and forth at 725. The camera is still rolling. Therefore, he has to dock the bike again and take it back out. Let me see what's going on in the comment section. That part about him stealing the bike doesn't make sense if he redocked it to pay for. Exactly, LF. I'm like, how is he stealing something if he didn't? Stealing means you ran off with it. India says there's the help police fake tears component from a white woman that puts young black men in danger. That's true. The police weaponizes the core of the problem. I think it gets to that problem. I think entitlement in the beginning, I think it starts off with I asked you, therefore you should give me. And when that didn't happen, right? It's like when that doesn't happen, when your go-to behavior doesn't happen, then you go for something else. So if they're having a discussion and they're being asked, hey, can I have the bike? You know what I mean? And they're like, nah, man, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. She was adamant. She went, according to their narrative, she went to 3 different people. And each one of them are telling her the same thing. You know, for surety, she wanted that specific bike. And because she wasn't able to get that bike, she begins to throw a tantrum. Let's see. Let me see here as we wrap up. So hopefully this confusion, because I was a bit confused too. Hopefully this, it adds to the understanding that this could happen every day in life. People have road rage all the time over foolishness or over things that they may feel that they're entitled to, right? And that you're in the way, whether it be a parking spot, whether it be you're driving too slow in the fast lane, whatever it is, and then people lash out at you based on whatever is going on with them. People are bringing up she was pregnant, she was on a shift for 12 hours. All of that's understood. But does that give you a right to then ask somebody for something, and when they deny you, you invade their space and decide that you're going to take it anyway? That's the question. And then play the I'm pregnant card after it becomes a problem. India says we hate those bikes. They take up valuable parking spaces between those. Yo, the restaurant Shantytown had me. You're funny. Between those restaurant Shantytown structures and City Bike, there is no parking. But I agree, it's a venture for all the reasons you mentioned. Yeah, when I was like, why do you guys have all of these restaurant booths? They got Sukkot booths outside all of the restaurants, and they were like, it was for COVID. I understood that. I guess, yeah, they're taking up all of the sidewalk, but I guess it works. It gives them more seating. It gives them more seating. All right, for those who just joined us, I'm gonna share this news article. You can read it at your own discretion, because this is the other part that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, which is what happened before the camera came on. Okay, so lastly, to recap, this young man and his friends are immigrants, first born in America. Their parents come from West Africa. He and his friends use City Bike for like the last 2-3 years. They understand the culture and the laws. He comes from a low income family, so he doesn't want to incur charges. So traditionally, they ride and dock the bike every 45 minutes. This particular stop was one such thing. He rode from the Bronx. Now he's all the way in Lower Manhattan. And, Sarah Jane comes out and she wants this new coveted bike. She wants this new bike from City Bike, right? And they don't want to give up the bike because they also want the bike, right? So she don't want to pedal her way home. She want to be breezed along, right? So he goes on to say, I can't say that all of this is not affecting me. This is the young boy, 17. At first, I felt supported. It was like I went through this thing. People saw the video of it and they were supporting me, he said. But all that changed when Marino put his statement out in the media. When those receipts got released, everything flipped. People started calling me a thief, a thug, and a quote, black man. Welcome to America, my dear. He said people started calling him a black man. It said it would be worse. LF says it would have been nice of them to give her the bike, but a request is just a request. They're not obligated to, right? Exactly. And really, we don't know where she was going, right? She could have been going up the street. They're going all the way back to the Bronx. I'm not saying, like you said, a request is a request. In their little young minds, they're like, broski, we are not, right now, they're about an hour and a half away from home, fam. So, you know, and as we can see, he doesn't get home till 10 o'clock. This thing happened at 7. So for the, who knows what happened or what they did after, but you know what I mean? She requested, they denied, but you don't get to just jump over someone because they denied. It says here, it's definitely having an effect on me. He continued. It's just like, wow, this is crazy. And it is crazy. And everybody looking at it think it's crazy. So basically, they did get a GoFundMe for Sarah Jane. She's at like 120. They was going for 100,000. And he says it's definitely having an effect on me. Okay, Michael added, she did something wrong and she basically got rewarded for it. She made over 100,000 on Go conservatives on her side or white conservatives. Everyone who was on my side has just kind of stayed silent. And that's what I'm talking about. How we taking sides and we didn't even know what happened. We just saw a video. People are taking sides and booting up, and you don't even know what really happened. There was no real investigation. Before you know what happened, you're raising 100,000 racks, and we don't even know what happened. I don't know. That's weird. Michael and Mary say that's why Mary posted a video on TikTok about the ordeal. They said they were tired of the narrative claiming he tried to take something from Sarah Jane Carmi when it was the other way around. Mary made the TikTok video telling her brother's side of the story, and it caught the attention of social media influencer Tizzy and that guy Danish who shared it on their platform. In the video, Mary provided receipts to prove her brother was the one who had rented the bike first. And this is where people get into the grooves and the nooks and the crannies. And like, once you dock it, then somebody else can come and get it. But what they're leaving out is the part that Sarah Jane, according to them, and he would have witnesses, had a conversation with them. She engaged in dialogue with them, inquiring as to whether or not she can have the bike. Because clearly, the only reason you're going to ask if you could use the bike is because they were near or on the thing. No one is looking at that because that part is not being told, that she is discussing with them, yeah, hey, you want to let me have the bike? And it's when she doesn't get what she wants, does she weaponize her whiteness against them. That therein lies becomes the problem, right? That's just my thoughts. Let me see here. I'm unable to wrap my mind around any of this. That's the sister. My brother has been riding city bikes for 3 years and nothing like this has ever happened. My family has never been involved in a situation like this. It's a lot. I'm the person that appointed to be the representative for my family. My parents are immigrants. My mother doesn't know what to do. She can't handle any of this, so it's up to me. Mary also says she has reached out to attorneys to try and get legal help, representation, but thus far no one has offered to help. Because again, it has gone to the court of public opinion, and everybody is suiting up on different sides, and nobody's really trying to get to what really happened here and what is this really about. She says she contacted a prominent civil rights attorney who initially tweeted about the video, but he advised her he doesn't practice that kind of law, quote unquote, and suggested she contact the New York State Bar Association for a referral. No, he didn't. After he gonna tweet, he gonna talk about I don't practice that kind of law. LF says, I could see how he would lose this in court. The bike being docked mean that he wasn't in possession of it. And the moment she scanned it and they redocked it, they could argue that was theft. I'm not saying it's right. Yeah, I see how they can argue that, but also I think he would have to come as if she attacked him to, according to what they're saying, right? She jumps over him to scan the barcode. I think that's that invasion of space, whatever they would call it in law, right? Whether or not she assaulted him, that I think that would only be his only angle. Because yes, the conversation, she said no, he said no, she said yes. The thing is that if he has his hand on the bike, we have to look at what law would be where, even though he has his hand, they may say he's illegally squatting on the bike, and really, at this point, it's only assault if she comes in contacts or hits him or does something in order for her to take possession of the bike. So even though she got possession, the question would be, did she lawfully gain possession? And snatches the phone, correct, India. So the question would be, did she lawfully gain possession of the bike, seeing that he was on the bike? You understand what I'm saying? I think in court, they would have to go from that angle. The phone snatch is assault, right? So that she would, that both of them is wrong. I'm saying both of them are wrong. Both of them is wrong in the way they handle it, because they both of them was, this was very petty. You understand? However, if you want to go to law, we're gonna have to look at assault. Because how did you come? Then they would have to prove how she came in possession of the bike. Her reaching past him is not assault. Did she reach past him? Did she come into contact with him? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Did she accidentally bump him? Oh, I don't know. If she hit him, they would have to know how she got to the barcode. Because according to the conversation, the barcode. India said them being petty and both wrong. That is so New York. Yo, New York, you gotta get in and out, man. Because New York, oh my goodness. Hashtag, yeah, that is petty. Hashtag petty, man. Like stuff that gets you in trouble in New York. I mean, like opening doors, holding doors, the subway, like all this stuff can get you into some real tussle. It says here, there have been a bunch of roadblocks to getting my brother's story out there. I wonder why, because everybody else is talking before they talk to the people who need to talk to. He's only 17. He doesn't deserve to be going through this. And the woman just comes up and starts harassing a bunch of teenagers. Mary said her brother's friend started recording because they wanted to stay safe. And I thank you guys for recording. And where are we? And then the mother is like, she can't take this. And then y'all can read the rest. So somebody says, the mother says, so a white woman standing right there and screaming for someone to help. If the police had come, that's the part that everybody's like, yo, he could have had a knee in his back for these antics. It's petty, but it could have ended a very different way. And my son was standing there. They're going to shoot him. If he runs, they're going to shoot him. So the mother, everyone is taking her side because she's rich and she's white. And she had a lawyer and the lawyer is defending her. They put it all over the television and no one tried to find out who the boy is, who have lost his life. They didn't find out who the family is. Everyone just ignored us like we don't matter. I don't care how much money that lady is getting, because if she was to lose her son, the whole world full of money would not bring him back. So she says, yes, they're immigrants and they're poor, but they're not thieves. She gets EBT because she wished she could afford to feed her children, but she can't. She works 7 days a week and they're hurting, and we aren't hurting anybody. That's why I say I think it has to do with classism. It has to do with access to resources. I think this is the core of the story. Because if it wasn't, they would have just kept riding, got the fee, and then just paid it, right? But instead, it's like, no, this is how we can circumnavigate the situation so that we don't end up incurring all these fees and still get to go where it is that we're going. Does it make it right? No. Like I said, I think both of them was being petty. However, the whole help situation, she was doing the most. She was doing the absolute most. Okay. The problem is not the guy or the lady, it's the media. I would agree. The media they don't have nothing to do on a Tuesday. I would agree. They are so quickly destroying this lady's life without any investigation. And then days later, the lady was able to produce free. Yeah, the media which is also social media, which has become the primary media because the media is picking this up from social media. The mainstream media is taking their cues from social media. Once they see something going viral, they want to come into the mix. And if you listen to the earlier reports, this video has gone viral on Twitter. And now social media, I mean, the mainstream is coming in and putting more wood in the fire. And the media exposed the lady's name. Yeah, they doxed the lady. OD. Residence and employment as a result, she got deaf. I saw that as well. This is beyond, like, again, what in the world? What in the world? And again, these two people are being used as tools. This is why oftentimes they said no one reached out. They're being used for a greater agenda. Because if not, you would, if she gave a bad report. Also, when the lawyer first came out, that report that she gave the lawyer, why did you give that report if that's not a true report? Now it's five people who were standing their word against your word, right? And then the images, they incite people because the image of her doing the whole, Emmett Till cry, where, historically in this country, and this is where a lot of people's minds go, is that historically, people, European women have called foul against Black men and have caused them their demise. And the way she started crying it triggered a lot of people. Let's just be honest. Like people like, get over the past. You cannot get over the past unless you have resolved those traumatic situations that the past have caused. Right? And if they have not been resolved, then people are going to just look for places in present day to say, yep, there goes happening again. Something very similar to this happened to why the whole destruction of, and very similar, the whole destruction of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Because there was already covetousness. I just made the whole word longer, right? Covetousness. Sorry. Let me tell you why, in my estimation, there's a lot of cross reference. Oh, I've been going for 52 minutes. Listen, peoples, if you want to come on, I'm gonna just drop the link. I'm not gonna stay extra long, but according to my studies, the situation in Tulsa, Oklahoma had to do with coveting. The European people around that 3-mile radius of Black people thriving in that community, right, made them jealous. Okay, so this is what was going on before this whole, they were looking for a reason. This is what was happening before, because if I'm not mistaken, oil was found. I got a book or something like that. Oil was found in that area. They built up all of these Black businesses in this area, and the melanated people in that space were thriving. And the European people were jealous and indifferent about it. They just needed a reason. Right? In this situation with this city car thing, it has to do with coveting what? What did the article talk about? Coveting this new bike. Hold on, people. This computer about to go out. It's about coveting a new bike. All day long, I just look for connecting the dots. So it's the same thing happening over again. And this is why it has the power to polarize the people, because it's something that is unresolved. It's injustices that keep on happening. And where every time they go unresolved, it compounds the issue. So if we read the article, for those who were here earlier when I was reading the article, what did it say? Let me go back to the top. It said that this bike was what? Coveted. Hold up. Here, Michael said that day they walked around the Bronx for 20 minutes before they found the highly coveted but hard to find new e-bikes. Did you hear me? So I'm not reaching. I'm not doing Pilates this day. Okay. This had to do with something. If there was a raggedy e-bike in the corner, there probably wouldn't have been this situation. But if this woman rides bikes, she would have known that that's the bike that she wants. Because she's tired, she's pregnant, and it's going to get her there with least effort. Now, people are like, they should have just gave her the bike because she was pregnant. Maybe they should have, but they didn't. Did that give her the right to be like, oh, you're not going to give me the bike? I'm going to take the bike. I'm going to push you out the way. Let's say if it was reversed. if she had ridden from the Bronx with a group of her friends, right? 5 European PAs, physician assistants, are going for a trek from the Bronx to Lower Manhattan. And this melanated young boy walks up to them and was like, "Can I get your bike?" And they're like, "No, because we're gonna keep riding." And he goes to somebody else, "Can I get your bike?" And then he's like, "No, we're gonna keep riding." He goes to the third person, "Can I get your bike? Come on, look, man, I got a lot of books. Like, I'm trying to get home." And he's like, "No, we're gonna keep riding." And then he decides, "Move out the way." He jumps over and scares the bike. That's crazy. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not funny, but it's funny. So, anywho, I was saying that the situation that everybody keeps referencing to Tulsa had to do with someone crying wolf, right? Someone yeasting up the situation, which is the European woman in the elevator, and they were looking for a reason. Because where did you suddenly get all of these bombs from? Like, what were you practicing? Like, when y'all, like, it was an overhead airstrike. Like, where did you get this stuff from? Where were you hiding this stuff? Like, oh, somebody pushed somebody in the elevator. Let me run and get this stuff that I didn't have prepared. They were prepared. So I say all that to say, yes, I agree. It's the media. I agree. There's a high level of pettiness in this situation. Now the other way around, nobody would have been on his side. That's what I'm saying, LF. Everybody would have been like, he violated. Even she would have been like, "No, I've been riding for 45 minutes. I'm just docking it and waiting. I actually only have a minute left to go." And old boy goes, "Man, move out the way." And just jumps over her and just like ill scans the bike. And then he's like pulling it out. They would have been like, "Oh no, he didn't. He violated." Not one person would have been screaming. Like four of them would have been like, "Oh my goodness, look what he's doing. He's stealing her bike." So again, is it really about what we're saying? It's about questions. Anywho, let me know if you guys have any thoughts on this matter. And just for the, where did the sister go? Hold on. Now we don't have to listen to the sister. I was gonna go to the sister, but since we got it from the horse's mouth, we don't need to go to the sister. Oh yeah, the GoFundMe. So they don't want to put the young man's face out there. Let me switch this GoFundMe here. They don't want to put the young man's face out there. What's going on here? StreamYard is doing some new stuff, eh? So now one person got to GoFundMe, and the next somebody got to GoFundMe. So here's the GoFundMe for the young man's family. They and that's they. So the people are like, what I mean? They're doing like Transformer. Everybody getting on their side, right? 120. They want the gold. They up to 77. I think that it came out 4 days ago. So and this is supposed to be aiding the man to get legal counsel to represent them. But the last time I saw that the Sarah Jane didn't want to sue. Sarah Jane wanted to sue the news media. I don't think she wanted, according to the lawyer, she didn't want to sue the family. So I'm not understanding where they're going with that. India says, "Watch the scenario you just made happen." What? Nah, I'm saying if the scenario happened like that, mm-mm. Everybody would come to raining down. Like, that's crazy. Let me see here. So both of them have GoFundMe's, and now the people are divided. There's 50 umpteen YouTube videos. People are calling it all kind of stuff. The girl, she lost her. I mean, she put on timeout from work. It's just too much. It's just too much. Should she have gotten another bike? Uh, should she have just take the L? All of these things come into mind. Hold on 1 second. Yep, that's it. That's it. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It was good talking to you guys. I had to come off hiatus for this one, man, because the people were agitating me. Hold on, and let me give y'all one more thing here. It was like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? And then you have people who were like, yo, why are we putting pregnant as a reason as to why people should have some type of empathy. I think pregnancy should be a space where people consider. But the reality is you live in a place that they don't always consider just because you're pregnant. They extend any empathy. So I'm trying to figure out why it's selective. It's selective. It because you don't always extend empathy. And she kept calling the baby a fetus. I'm like, why are you calling the baby a fetus? She was like, I have my fetus. I'm like, is it a baby or is it a fetus, lady? So she was doing that too. If you have a baby in your belly, why are you throwing yourself up against handlebars on a bike? LF. I can't with LF. LF said, I'm not gonna lie. I would have did what she did. I would have scanned that thing and snatched it and been out of it. LF. LF. That is funny. Yo, why you would have snatched the bike if you were afraid? Some people was like, oh, she was afraid. She wasn't no afraid. She wasn't no afraid. She was running. She was running game. She understood what it was. You know what I mean? To me, she understood what it was because when she started acting like she was crying, then soon after that, when the other you said, "Hey, you could take my bike," all of a sudden she stopped crying. All of a sudden she was like, okay. She whipped her phone. I don't know if y'all saw that. She whipped her phone out of her top pocket and then she scanned the joint and they said she went on the other dude's bike, the dude in the purple sweater. You know what I mean? So it wasn't all of that. If 2 seconds later, not only are you not crying for help and all of this endangerment from these black men, you hop on a bike and go home. She's the type to go. Yeah, she was like, my fetus. I'm like, broski, stop calling the baby a fetus, man. Stop calling the baby a fetus. That's inappropriate. It just doesn't make me feel like you're attached to the child. You know what I mean? Don't hurt my fetus. What in the world? Anywho, with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna go ahead and go right now. I'm not. I ain't gonna be crying though. You say you're not afraid. Now she was just crying when people started gathering around. Like the other hospital worker, he was behind her. He was like, "Yo, just redock the bike. Just redock the bike." So she was like, I'm like, help us now. That cry wasn't. It didn't have no tears. Where I come from, they call it a dry cry, man. You had no tears. You was flicking yourself around, causing all of this consternation, right? When the situation could have been handled differently. You don't get to rush somebody only because you asked them nicely 2 times. You know what I mean? Crocodile tears. Crocodile tears. So with that said, like I said, everybody have a blessed day. What's today? Monday. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Love those you love. You know what I mean? And stay clear of those who don't love you. You know what I mean? It's for a peaceful world. You know what I mean? So everybody have a blessed day. All right? Leave your comments and your thoughts underneath the video. Oh yeah, and by the way, all those who are just in their feelings about the color purple vibration, I already told you why I started reading the book. I'll put that on another video. Like I'm still getting people in their feelings about this color purple situation. I am not going to be creating or recreating that kind of conversation in my world. It's out there. You could press the link and you can listen to the audio book or you could just read the book yourself, right? I said it was a discussion, therefore I had the right to share my thoughts. And I just wanted to say that if I'll come back and say it. All right, everybody have a good day.